Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new weekly vlog. Sorry for the deja vu you might be getting. My last weekly vlog I ended out like this. I filmed this on the same day. I rounded out the vlog on a Monday, which is bad. I'm not going to make a habit of doing that. But this is the start of a new week and I thought I'd just kind of round out what my plans are for the week and kind of go from there. So if you watched my last weekly vlog, you'll know that at the end of the week I was still reading Akamath, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. Last week I read Akatar. I'm having these as my books that I've got the audiobooks of as well. So sometimes at this moment in time, I'm spending a lot of time obviously at home. Other things going on in the home around me, and sometimes I just can't physically read because there's too much going on. So these books I'm rereading with the audiobooks, and it's just a nice way of reading it, another different way of consuming the story, and yeah, I'm enjoying reading it so far. I'm currently 138 pages through this, and I'd like to think I can finish it by the end of the week, but it's not going to be one that I'm going to be like racing to necessarily finish. It's not on my fixed TBR for the month or anything like that. So yeah, this is just going to be something that can you know, I'll finish it this month, but if I don't finish it this week, it's not the end of the world. And as I mentioned in my last weekly reading vlog, I'm picking up The Lilac Girls, or just Lilac Girls, by Martha Hall Kelly. This is a book on the Timeless Book Club, which is a book club hosted by Perfect Paperbacks Emma here on BookTube and on Bookstagram. Perfect Paperbacks is her handle. She's doing a historical fiction book club, and this is the pick for May, Lilac Girls. They did The Nightingale last month, which I joined. I didn't reread it, but I joined in the live chat for it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I don't know a lot about it, which is often what I like about these sorts of stories. World War II fiction particularly, I quite like going in not knowing too much and kind of enjoying the story as it unravels. So this, I haven't picked it up yet. I haven't done any reading yet today. It's just gone 4 o'clock and I haven't done any reading yet today. I've done Animal Crossing, I've written some pen pal letters, went to the supermarket, had some lunch, haven't done any reading yet. So I need to fix that a little bit later on and get some reading done. And then I also plan, depending on how long it takes me to read that, the other book on the radar for this week is The Black Moon by Winston Graham. This is the 5th book in the Poldark series. So after Outlander last year, discovered Outlander last year, read all the books last year, and also watched all of the Poldark TV show last year as well. I decided, I put the Poldark books on my wish list for my birthday. My brother very kindly gifted them to me, and I decided that when I got them, when I physically opened them on my birthday, I decided that I'd read one a month this year. My reading challenges have sort of changed over the last couple of years. Like, I've done different things. I always set myself some form of challenge, and this year I decided to, normally there'd be like 12 prompts for me to fulfill, but this year I decided that I was just going to read a Poldark book a month and focus on all the series that I own, that I have started and haven't finished, or all the series that I own and I haven't even started them yet. So it's a series year. It's like reading all the series that I haven't read or haven't started or haven't finished. So I'm on book 5. Obviously it's May, the 5th month of the year. I really want to get this read this week as well if I can. It's a bit of a chunker, this one. The last one was quite small compared to this. It's 546 pages. I think I know how it's going to end because I've watched the TV show and I just saw something written on that page. So I would like to make some progress through this week as well. It's a bit historical fiction heavy apart from Akamath this week, but tends to be where my reading style is taking me and where my love of kind of like my favourite genre and where a lot of my interests lie in my reading at the moment. This would conclude my kind of mandatory TBR for May, sort of the books I kind of have to read, and then for the rest of the month I can kind of read what I want to read. I have set myself a TBR with some other books on it, but they're not mandatory, like they're not part of book clubs, they're not like part of my have to read one of these books every month, because I'm kind of hoping that I can then read Dawn on a Distant Shore, which is the 2nd book in the Into the Wilderness series. I'm kind of hoping I can pick that up at some point. It won't be this week, but at some point this month as well. Be good to pick that up. I'm averaging about 10 books a month at the moment on lockdown. I wouldn't normally read that much, but I've got a lot more time on my hands. So I'm hoping that in the next few weeks, when I'm still off as it stands, like I don't quite know how much longer I'm going to be off for. So I'm really trying to read. At the beginning, I think I felt like I had so much time that I didn't prioritize reading as much, because I felt like I had so much time, you know, oh, I've got so much time on my hands. And then when I actually thought about it, I was like, I'm not actually spending a lot of time reading. I'm spending a lot of time not really doing an awful lot. So I've really cracked down on my reading in the last kind of week or two. And I'm hoping that by the end of this week, it would be great if I could at least get this finished and have made some progress through this, at least. And Akamath is kind of like, whatever I get rid of it is a bonus, really, because it's not on my TBR, and the whole time I've got like an audiobook on the go as well. If I do go back to work this month, which I may do, I really don't know, this is one that I can listen to on the way to and from work and still make progress through it. So yeah, I'd definitely love to this week and focus on this. But then if I'd managed to make some progress through this, or even finish it as well, I mean, that would be amazing. I'm averaging 3 books a week at the moment, so could do it. So rather than talk for ages about these books unnecessarily, I'm going to go and do some reading and cue the clip of my experience in the Sainsbury's store and the lack of books on the shelf for you. What a fun little clip I'd film with me out and about, because I only go out once a week.
The book section is definitely not being restocked. It's exactly the same as it was last week. Sad face. All I want to do is buy the Switch, but I can't. Hey ho. Sainsbury's, get your act together.
So unless you follow me on Bookstagram or whatnot, then you might not know, but I had a trip booked to Scotland in June, and following the Prime Minister's address yesterday, I decided to wait until that point with regards to making any cancellations, just in case something was said that was revolutionary, not that we expected it, but also just to confirm that if we are still in a sort of semi-state of lockdown, that I am still within my rights to make cancellations and get full money back. So I've just sat and cancelled 10 different Airbnb reservations for our trip to Scotland. Scotland is definitely not happening now. Fingers crossed we can go next year. But for anyone that's got any Airbnb trips outstanding, if they're affected by COVID, Airbnb are actually giving you credit. So some of mine aren't eligible for full refunds through the host, because you can only get a full refund within 48 hours. And Airbnb have actually credited, like, to my account the amount, so that I don't actually lose out any money. So when I rebook, I'll have the money sat there in my account as credit, rather than needing to use a payment. So that's really good. I was worried I was going to lose out on money, and I haven't. I've not lost out on any money. Some of them where the host gives you a full refund minus the service charge. I've actually had the service charge refunded in credit. So I've had like a partial refund on my card because I've paid everything in full, and then you get the service charge that the person's still going to claim, the host is still going to claim, you get that to sit in your account in credit. So fingers crossed the next trip shouldn't cost too much money, because half the money is already still sat there. But I'll have a nice refund coming in on my credit card, and it's just really sad having to sit and do it. We'd planned so much, but I kind of think because of lockdown, even if things were a bit different, I think I still don't feel like, I wouldn't feel prepared to think that in less than 3 weeks we should be going. If everything had been okay and we were okay to travel and we were given the green light and everything, and it was okay for us to go, I don't think I'd feel prepared, because we spent so long not being able to go out and buy the things we need on our trip. The bike does have a little bit of work that needs doing on it. So yeah, anyway, sad times. It's been cancelled. So I hope the lighting is okay in this clip. I'm kind of battling the sun coming down. As per usual, the sun sets like right into these windows here, so it makes it a little bit difficult to film of an afternoon. But it's Thursday today, and I'd made a decision already that this week I would only update a couple of times throughout the week, just because there's not an awful lot to update you on. It's not like I'm out and about doing lots and lots, but I didn't expect to leave it this late. But I have just been in a bit of a slumpy, sort of meh-y sort of mood this week. So I don't really want to talk about Corona and that be the only thing that these vlogs are about, but still kind of have to document it. On Sunday, the Prime Minister did his address updating that now there's been some relaxations on the lockdown measures, which if you're probably aware of them, but that just kind of changes things a little bit, really and truly. And I did have communication from my workplace, but basically saying that it's a play it by ear, so kind of suck it and see situation. I work in an industry, I think I can't remember if I have talked about it, but I work in an industry that is still working, but it's working on a very, very scaled back level. So the business is still working, but it's not got enough demand to keep everybody working, which is why I've been furloughed and several other people have been furloughed as well. So basically just being told that we'll contact you as and when, because at the moment they haven't got the demand to straight away. It's not going to be a straight away thing that they get the demand and the business. So I'm kind of in a little bit of a limbo, and I was trying to explain it to my other half earlier, and I don't know if it's just because he's a bloke or because we're just wired differently and I'm a bit of a worrier and I fear sort of the unknown. But I was saying I kind of feel like I haven't been able to settle all week, sort of not knowing where I stand, not kind of knowing what I'm doing, and you know, it's kind of been left as you will just make contact with you as and when we can have you back, rather than we expect it to be such and such a date, or we've done a calculation, we think it might be by then. So not having like a firm date in mind has kind of like unsettled me a little bit. So up until this point, up until like yesterday, so up until Wednesday, I had only literally read about 108 pages across 3 days of Lilac Girls by Martha Hall Kelly. This is set in multiple places throughout the time of the Second World War. So yeah, up until this morning, I had only read 108 pages over the course of Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. I think I read quite a lot last week, and I don't know if I maybe just overdid it or if it was just the funk of everything else that was going on as well. I also had to cancel all of our Airbnb reservations for our holiday coming up in June. So I feel like right at the beginning of the week there was a bit of negativity, just for me in general. I was feeling a bit slumpy. I don't know if maybe I read too much last week. Maybe I did. Maybe I read too much last week. Fighting this week to read enough, and yeah, anyway. But I woke up in the early hours of the morning. My other half hasn't been very well. He's not got corona, but he's just suffering a little bit, and he got up maybe about 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning, and unfortunately I woke up as well. But I'm the sort of person that I normally sleep quite solidly, but once I'm awake, and I struggled to get back to sleep. He managed to get back to sleep all right, but I couldn't. And I picked this up. I was actually really naughty and bought it on Kindle so that I could read it on my phone rather than have to put a light on. And it was only like £1 or £1.99 or something like that. It really wasn't very much at all. And that has been handy today because I've baked a cake and I've baked some cupcakes this afternoon. So whilst I was waiting for the oven, I didn't need to bother coming up and getting my book. I could just sit in the kitchen with my phone on me. So I have just got to the page 242 mark, which means so far today I've read about, it's not quite 140 pages, but 135 pages, let's say. I haven't finished for the day either. So I've made some good progress today. Made more progress today than I've made all week so far. What I've actually done with this book, I haven't tabbed it because I couldn't actually find my tabs quickly enough. But this much of the end of the book is actually not the book. And I always find that can alter how far you think you're through the book. So I've just put a bookmark in there to show where the actual end is. And then I'm literally I've put a bookmark in halfway mark, and I've literally got a couple of pages past the halfway mark and got to an end of a chapter, so I've stopped. Just to give you a bit of an idea of how I'm doing, I'll keep the bookmarks in halfway and at the end, and then I'll take them out when I'm done. But it's just to give me a bit of an idea, a bit of a visual. I do like to tab, as in like annotating, like tabbing certain sections and paragraphs or a phrase. I do enjoy doing that, but I sometimes find I get so focused on doing that I don't absorb the story in quite the same way, and it kind of sometimes takes some of the fun out of the reading. the enjoyment out of it. So I don't conventionally tab most of the time. So this story is about 3 women in 3 different places and how the war basically affects them. I don't want to give away too much, but we have a character in New York called, I think she's called Caroline. Yep, Caroline in New York. She works, she's got French heritage and she works at the French consulate, and basically they're trying to help, just generally before the war even breaks out, they try to help French people that are maybe displaced or trying to get visas for family to join them, or trying to get back to France for whatever reason. So she's in New York. We then have a girl called Cassia in Poland, and obviously we know Poland was invaded at the beginning of the war, so she kind of deals with all of the issues of her country being invaded. And then we have Herta, who is a young doctor in Germany, and she is trying to keep her family afloat. Her father's poorly, her mother's working long hours, and it's really interesting to have several sides of the story, because obviously you've got a German who very much has German beliefs at the beginning of the book, and you have someone Polish that's actively being affected by the Germans, and the stories are starting to, where I've got to, like I said, just halfway through, 242 pages, the stories are starting to sort of like link in more with each other. I'm still intrigued as how one of the characters is going to link in with the others. I'm still not quite sure how that's going to happen. I have enjoyed it. I have found some of the sections, I don't want to give away too much and don't want to spoil you, but some characters do end up at Ravensbrück, which is a Nazi concentration camp for women, so it's just women in this camp, and there's been a couple of sections which I found not necessarily graphic but really quite hard hitting, and actually no, I have found one section quite graphic, and kind of like made me think I should maybe put this down and read something else, and I have found some of the sections a little bit clunky, because they are from someone that's supposed to be German, or for someone that's supposed to be Polish, or someone that's got a French heritage. There's a couple of things that have been mentioned throughout, I'd say most of the perspectives, most of the 3 perspectives, I'd say all 3 to be fair, that maybe have been a little bit more to do with things of the period which then aren't explained, and you're kind of like, well, what's that? I don't know what that is. And I've had to Google a couple of things. So I'm not loving this, and this isn't like the most amazing book I've ever read. It is very intriguing, and I might feel a little bit differently once I get closer to the end and things start to unravel, but also have to kind of acknowledge that my mood going into it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday maybe wasn't the best either, and a lot of the time your mood does affect your reading as well, so I'm aware of that. But yeah, I'm making progress through this. I do want to try and get a little bit more read today. I really would like to get this book read by the end of the week, and I think that's achievable with how much progress I've made today. I've still got tomorrow, and I've got the weekend as well. But if I can make a bit more progress today, I might even be able to finish it tomorrow, because it's not like I've got anything else going on that I'm aware of. God, don't. Imagine if I got a phone call from work tomorrow. Yeah, can you come back to work, please? I haven't actually made any progress on Court of Mist and Fury, I don't think, since I last updated you on it. I'm still on page 138, which is somewhere through chapter 14, and I don't believe I've picked this up. I think I mentioned in the last vlog, or maybe the beginning of this vlog, that we've started watching a programme together. We've started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, whereas before we were watching Vikings, and I was kind of dipping in and out of that and wasn't completely invested in it because I'd missed sections and missed quite big sections of it in places. So now that we're watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine of an evening, I'm not picking up my audiobook read, and yeah, so I haven't made any progress through this. I'm still 138 pages through. Maybe thinking that if the Lilac Girls over the next few days maybe gets a bit too much in places, I'll pick this up during the day just as a bit of a lightener and just as something to kind of intersperse through. I could really do with reading this week for the paperback games, the readathon hosted by Perfect Paperbacks Emma, who also hosts the Timeless Book Club. She's doing a kind of create your own path readathon this month, and my prompt for this week is to read a hyped book, and I want to really have this as my hyped book, but I don't know if that's going to happen now, and if I'm going to complete complete it. But I don't think there's a rule if you don't finish a challenge book in the week. I don't know if like how strict it is, but I'll try and maybe make a bit more progress through this, hopefully. If I could get both of these done by the end of the week, that would be absolutely amazing. But my focus is really primarily going to be on Lilac Girls to get this one read. And yeah, I don't know why I've not been in a massive, well, I think it's partly just because I've not been in the mood for it, and I've had other things swarming through my head, and like I said, having to cancel the holiday, and that was like 10 individual bookings. I had to individually go in and cancel and say why I was cancelling and say that it was affected by COVID-19, and I had to make a couple of phone calls as well. And yeah, anyway, it's all cancelled now. We're not going to Scotland. We're not going for our 2-week tour around Scotland on the motorbike anymore. We probably will try and rebook for the same sort of time next year, but until we've spoken to our employers and until we've kind of highlighted the dates and figured it out and stuff, we're not going to go ahead booking anything at the moment. So yes, that's how I'm getting on. And I hopefully now will only have one more update, and hopefully that will be sort of like Sunday or maybe even early Monday morning, just kind of updating you with my progress. But I'm hoping I can make a bit more progress through this today, and then maybe that can be done tomorrow, and then I can maybe spend the whole weekend reading this and finishing this so that I can complete the challenge for the paperback games. So hopefully that's the plan, isn't it? Hopefully that can happen. So I'm going to go now, stop talking, stop rabbiting on, and let's read a bit more of this. It's a bit grueling, it is a bit hard, but hopefully I'll have some more concise thoughts on this next time I check in. So it is now Sunday. It's just coming up to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and as I finished a book this afternoon, I thought I would come on and just wrap this vlog up here. I probably will do a little bit more reading this afternoon, but whatever I read now is going to be a new book, so I thought that can be the start of the new weekly reading vlog. So since I last updated you, I have actually finished 2 books. I have finished both Lilac Girls and A Court of Mist and Fury. So I'm going to talk about Lilac Girls first. I actually ended up reading the last, like 50 pages or so, give or take, yesterday morning, Saturday morning, I think. I read through quite a lot of it in the last couple of days of reading it. I really kind of like blitzed through it and got quite a lot of it read. So yeah, I have finished this now. Thoughts on finishing it. I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed hearing about the characters, how they grew, how they evolved, how they dealt with everything that they went through. I do have a couple of kind of criticisms with it, just in that I felt like so much was touched on and so much was discussed that at times I felt like not enough was given to maybe one particular character, because we have more than one perspective. And I feel like so much was tried to be told in this book. I feel quite confident in that potentially this could have been done in a book for each character, because each character in their own right probably could have had enough content for one whole book each. But I really enjoyed the story, and when I got to the end, I actually made a point of reading. The author wrote an author's note, and it was really, really interesting to hear about some of the characters in this book are actually real characters. They're real people in history, real people who are truly involved in the story as we know it. Obviously, a couple of the characters are fictional characters, but they have been created around historical things that we know and that have been recorded, so they've tried to be moulded around girls that were actually at Ravensbrück concentration camp, and how, you know, the information we've got from there, so they were formed around real true characters. But then you've got a couple of characters that are built in true history, so characters that really did exist, people that really did exist, which was so interesting to read about after finishing the story. And really, really, really interesting. And like I said, I feel like all of these characters could potentially have had their own book. And even though at the end there was a sense of kind of like things had all kind of come to place and come to a nice closure at the end, which I think was really needed. I'm always the sort of person that loves reading in that sort of like idealized state once everything's sort of come to an end and closure and everything like that. I kind of quite enjoy reading a bit in that period, if that makes sense, like in that state of sort of resolution. I really enjoy reading some of it. So that wasn't fulfilled at the end of this book, because it kind of like all comes to the end at the end, and then you're like, oh, okay, at least you know it's all okay, but would have loved for a bit more about, but that's not what the story's about. I'm rambling. Enjoyed this. Definitely the further I got through and the more the story sort of unravelled, I enjoyed it more. I did find it a little bit hard at the beginning and wasn't enjoying it till about maybe about halfway through, and then it really sort of like, I was enjoying it, but then at halfway through it really kind of like stepped up a notch, and I was like really invested in these characters. One thing just knowing going into this, if it's something you are going to pick up, is that it does span a really, really long period of time. So we have a period of time between the war, and there's another section of the book sort of in the late 50s, 57, 58. So that was interesting as well, how much of a period of time the book spanned. So yeah, enjoyed this and can't wait to discuss it with all the other people involved in the Timeless Book Club, because I've got lots to say about it, and I think I might even write notes. That's how nerdy I am. I think I might write notes. So today on Sunday, I finished A Court of Mist and Fury. Yesterday, once I'd finished Lilac Girls, and I finished that quite early in the morning, my other half hasn't been 100%. He's been a little bit poorly. He's I think I mentioned this, he's fine. He's not got corona or anything like that, but he's just been a little bit under the weather. And unfortunately, I think it was Saturday morning, he's struggling to sleep, so he's kind of going, I'm going to sleep at normal time, and then he might not be going to sleep till 4 o'clock in the morning. And unfortunately on Saturday he woke me up, but he didn't mean to, and I struggled to get back to sleep. I couldn't get back to sleep, so I read the Lilac Girls and finished it, and then I did get a bit more sleep in after that. A little bit naughty, but I just couldn't sleep, and there's no I'm the sort of person that once I'm awake. So I thought, and I've just got to do something, and then if it means I have a nap later on, it's fine. But I did actually manage to get back to sleep. Slept in a little bit longer than I maybe normally would have. So then when I kind of woke up for the second time on Saturday, what I did was I split the remaining pages of A Court of Mist and Fury in two. So I had got up to page 138, which is here, and as you can see from this bookmark, I did the maths, I split the pages in two, and I decided that, well, whatever happened yesterday, I had to read that much, and then at least I knew that if I could do that yesterday, I could do that today. But I actually started my pages today. I made really good progress through it yesterday, and I actually only had just over 100 pages to read today. I managed to get all of that big chunk read yesterday. It was practically all I did yesterday. This is a reread for me, and I enjoyed it just as much second time round, if not maybe more, because reading it, I've never reread it, and once you read through the series, things that come to light that you learn about, it's really interesting reading, going back through, knowing that information yourself, and seeing those little sort of like trinkets and seeing things sort of like all kind of coming together. So yeah, enjoyed this. I was really worried rereading this series because I thought I wasn't going to enjoy it as much. I thought I might find it a bit childish, but I feel like Sarah J Maas, like, I don't feel like this is a YA, really. I don't know. It's got some more mature content in it. I did feel like Crescent City was maybe a slight step up from this, but I don't feel like this is a true YA, in my opinion. Others might disagree, but the tone and the way the story is told is very reminiscent of House of Earth and Blood. I didn't feel like House of Earth and Blood is a million miles away from this, that being an adult book and this being marketed as YA. It does even say on the back it contains mature content, so you know, it's yeah, but really enjoyed it reading it second time round, and like I said, interesting knowing a bit more going into it. So glad I finished this. I'm not going to go on to A Court of Wings and Ruin, the final book, straight away. What I plan on going into, spoilers for next week's vlog, I've got 2 more books that I want to definitely get read this month. So the first one is The Black Moon. This is sort of my last mandatory read. I talked about this earlier on in the vlog. So this is the last book that I have to read that's kind of mandatory for May. This is the 5th Poldark book. Yeah, 5th Poldark book, The Black Moon. This is a bit chunkier than the last one. The last one we were spoiled by because I seem to remember the last one feeling really, really small compared to the one before, and now this one feels quite a bit bigger than the previous one. But I'm going to see if I can get this on Audible, and this can maybe be my audiobook for the next however long is left in the month. I've kind of lost the balance of like the weeks and stuff. So there are two full weeks left in the month. So this will be my audiobook for the next, I could probably get this done in a week. I got this done really quickly, especially in the last couple of days. So I don't see why, if I can get this on audiobook, why I can't read this in a few days and get this done this week, or the week coming. And then I also want to start Dawn on a Distant Shore, which is the second book in the Into the Wilderness series, because ever since I put Into the Wilderness down, this is all I've really wanted to read. This is my most mismatched cover. The first one and the last one, I did do this on my Instagram stories the other day, the first one and the last one have the same look to them, the same design, but one's glossy and one's matte and one's floppy and one's not, but they look similar. And then all the middle ones look the same, but this is the big, like, yeah, ugly duckling. It doesn't fit in. I'm really looking forward to getting back immersed into this story, into this series, into this world. And I think we are going to voyage somewhere, Dawn on a Distant Shore, and I'm super excited to see how that unfolds. That's my plan for next week. So that's spoilers for next week's vlog, if you're interested at all. These will be the next two books I pick up, and I'm going to see if I can get this on audio, but I'm going to just check the narrator out, because I haven't listened to any of these on audio yet, the Poldark books, and I'm nearly halfway through the series. It's interesting. I think because of where the TV series ends, it's going to get to a point where I've not seen the content, I've not seen, because the series they only did 5, I think. 5 series. I think we're going to maybe get, after this one, into uncharted territory, which is going to be really interesting. So yeah, looking forward to getting these two, moving on to these two next. Probably I'm going to pick up, probably going to be this one this evening really now, and start making some progress through those two. But yeah, I'm really pleased with my progress this week. I feel like I did good. I wasn't in a very reading mood at the beginning of the week, I think I mentioned, and I think I felt just a bit unsettled. I can't remember if I mentioned this in the last clip I did on Thursday. I'm pleased that I managed to finish the 2 books. I was really thinking all I was going to be able to do was finish this, but in the last couple of days I've absolutely ploughed through this and enjoyed it. It's not been a chore at all. It's not felt like, oh, I've got to finish this book. It's got, you know, I could have just read to the halfway mark yesterday, but I didn't. I ploughed on through because I was just really interested in reading more and more and more and seeing how the story unfolded. It's hard to remember when you read a series where one thing ends and another thing begins, like some of the storylines throughout the book. So that's what kind of kept me going. I was like, when's that going to happen, and when's that bit going to happen? But yeah, anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I hope you enjoyed the content. I didn't do quite so many updates, I don't think, this week, so hopefully this will be a bit shorter. And I hope you're enjoying these. If you've got any comments or any feedback you want to give me, I'd really appreciate that. It does really help me out and knows whether you're enjoying the content that I'm putting up on YouTube. But yeah, I'll see you all next week. I'll make sure I film another weekly reading vlog next week as well, and hopefully, depending on what happens, hopefully kind of I can be doing some more end of month, beginning of the month, at the end of May, sort of doing a May wrap up, doing a June TBR and things like that. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and I'll see you all soon. And don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks. Bye.